Today I'm going to install this Chamberlain garage door opener. My old garage door is a manual type and I want it to open automatically. So the first thing I've done is assembled the rail trolley mechanism and attached it to the motor, which is real simple. The instructions are very easy to read. The part I want to document is actually installing it to the garage door and to the ceiling, because that's something that, although it's somewhat documented in the manual, it's kind of different in every application, and I thought it might be helpful to see it done on video. So the first thing we need to do is mark the position of the header bracket. This is the bracket that mounts above the garage door to the header and attaches to this end of the opener. To mark the position for this, we're going to use a level. The documents state that this needs to be mounted 2 inches above the highest point of the garage door when it's opening. Now I've opened up the garage door to the point that this is at its highest travel. It doesn't get any higher than that, because once these wheels get to this portion of the rail, this doesn't get any higher. So I'm at that point, and then I'm going to use my level to make a mark on the header. It says it needs to be 2 inches above the highest point, so this level is about 2 inches, so I'll just rest the level on the top of that top panel and then make a mark on the header. So now I'm up on my ladder so you can see a different vantage point, and I will just place the level here and we'll make it level. And the instructions state that we need to mount the header bracket 2 inches above the highest point of travel of the garage door. So since the level is about 2 inches thick, I'll just make a mark on the top of the level. So now I've made my mark, so I can remove the level, and that's our reference for mounting the header bracket. Now I've shut the garage door and extended my line horizontally, and I've made a mark that corresponds to the center of the garage door. The bracket should be mounted close to the center of the garage door. So the bracket will go just like this. It's not recommended that you mount the bracket to drywall. It's supposed to be mounted directly to wood. So I have two choices. I can either nail a piece of wood to the drywall, or I can cut out a little piece of drywall and mount the bracket directly to the header. And that's what I'm going to do, because I don't have a lot of lumber laying around. So I will use my utility knife and cut out a big enough square to mount the header bracket. Well folks, I've made my first mistake. The header in this garage door is only a 6x, so it's way down here. So I need to get a piece of 2x4 to nail to these studs, and then we'll mount the bracket to that. I've ran into another issue. For an unknown reason, the studs, which run right here and right here in this wall, don't extend all the way down to the header. They stop about right here, and there's open space here. not really sure why that happened, why they're cut out there. So instead of mounting my block for the header plate or header bracket horizontally as I originally wanted to, I had to mount it vertically. I attached the bottom to the header and the top to the top sill of the wall. I didn't want to nail to these studs because even if I put my board high enough, these studs aren't suitable for bearing the load, I don't think, because they aren't attached at the bottom to this header as they should be. So I've got some funny construction going on in this house, but that's okay, these things happen. So now I have the block mounted to the wall and my bracket for the garage door opener mounted to the block. The next step is to attach this end of the garage door opener to the bracket. So I'll do that next. I've leaned the opener mechanism against the wall here, and I'm going to insert this pin to attach it. Kind of hard to do with one hand, but we'll manage. And there's a ring clip that attaches to the other end of the pin to ensure that it doesn't come out. So now we've attached one end of the garage door opener. The next step after securing the front end of the opener is to raise the back end and place it on a piece of wood that's going between the two rails of the garage door. The manual states that the opener should be 1.5 inches above the height of the garage door when it's open. It actually said, the manual actually said to raise the garage door and then place this 2x material on top of the garage door itself and then rest the opener on that, and then that would be the correct height. I think that this way is a little easier for me since I don't have a helper. I don't see how I could place this piece of wood on top of an open garage door without any help. So what I did was I just went ahead and measured the distance that the garage door extends out from the top of the rail, which is about 2 inches. So since I have that measurement, I just went ahead and rested the garage door on a spacer. You can use a block, or in my case it's a little piece of metal that's 2 inches high, and then that gives me the correct height. After that's done, it's necessary to center this rail in the middle of the garage door opening. So I measured between the two rails, between this one and this one, and in my case it's about 100 inches, 100 1/4. So then I just placed this rail at 50 1/8. So right now it's resting in the position that it needs to be secured at. So now that it is in its final resting place, I'm going to use some angle iron to secure the motor to the ceiling. I'm going to use this steel piece of metal with holes in it to hang the motor from the ceiling. The first piece of metal needs to be about a little over 4 feet long in my case. It's going to be the piece that attaches to the ceiling. I'm going to have it run across this way. I have a ceiling joist right about in the middle of the garage door opening, right where the motor is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have my my piece of metal extend from this ceiling joist here. It's going to attach to this one, the middle one that's right above the opener, and this other one over here. It's really easy to see where they are in my case because the finish job isn't really good on the ceiling. The ceiling joists here are 2 feet apart, so my piece needs to be a little over 4 feet long. I'll make it like 53 or 54 inches. That way it's plenty long to extend past both ceiling joists. I've cut my piece of metal and now I need to mark where it goes. I want it to be right above the motor, so I'm going to use a level and make a mark on the ceiling so I'll know where to screw the angle iron to the ceiling. To mount the first piece of metal, I'm going to use these 2-inch lag screws. My first piece of metal is now attached to the ceiling. I have it screwed into 3 separate ceiling joists. So the next step is to measure how long the vertical pieces should be. So I'm going to measure from the top down, and I want my vertical pieces to be a little over 28 inches, say 28 and a quarter. So I'll cut 2 of those, and then those will bolt to the motor and the rail up here on the ceiling. I've cut and installed my vertical metal pieces, so now the garage door opener is suspended, so I can remove this plank that I had it resting on. The next step is to connect this part of the garage door opener, which is called the trolley, to the garage door itself, so that when the mechanism moves, it raises the door. There is a bracket that looks like this that needs to be screwed to the garage door. But before we do that, we need to strengthen this whole area right here, because I've been told that if you just plunk this piece right here and hook everything up, it will raise and lower the garage door, but over time it will bend this thin metal. So to reinforce the door, I'm going to use some of the same material that I used to hang the motor from the ceiling. I have about 4 feet of this metal remaining. So I'm going to install it to the top of the door like this, and I'll just attach it with some sheet metal screws. And then I'll install the bracket right underneath it. That way the load from the door will be distributed more evenly across the top of the door. I've finished installing my reinforcement bar. I used 10 self-tapping sheet metal screws to secure it to the side and to the top of the door. So that should hopefully make it so that this garage door opener doesn't destroy my door in a few years. So the next step is to install this bracket that the garage door opener will attach to, and it will go right here, and it attaches with these 2 sheet metal type screws. I've attached the bracket to the door with the sheet metal screws. It was necessary to drill a 3/16 inch pilot hole before inserting the screw. I've also attached the safety release rope to the trolley. Next, I'm going to install this straight metal bar into the trolley mechanism. It's held on by a pin and a clip. That's what it looks like installed. It's also necessary to install this curved piece of metal into this bracket. This curved metal piece attaches in the same manner as the straight piece. It uses a pin and a clip. Next, to bring everything together, I need to connect this arm to this piece of metal with these two bolts. And after that, the garage door will be securely attached to the garage door opener. Both bolts are now installed, and that means that the garage door is now securely attached to the opener mechanism. The mechanical portion of the installation is now complete. It's time to move on to electrical. This kit includes a button that's meant to be mounted next to the door. To connect the button to the main garage door opener unit, it's necessary to install this wire that was included with the kit. It's really easy. You just use these little staples and attach it up the wall, on the ceiling, and then over to the garage door opener. Now I have the open and close switch attached, and it's time to install these little safety eyes. They're mounted to metal brackets that just snap onto the garage door tracks. So I'll snap the other one on, and then I'll mount the sensors. I've attached the laser safety eyes to each side of the garage door, and I've installed these small staples to secure the wire to the wall, up the wall and on the ceiling over to the garage door opener. Everything's hooked up here. The switch by the door to open and close the garage door and the safety eye wires are all hooked up here. Everything's hooked up, plugged in, connected, and I'm going to attempt to open and shut the garage door. So we'll push the button and see what happens. It opens. I think it actually opens a little bit too far. It looks like it's way past where it needs to open. So now we'll shut it. Oh, something got in the way. Oh, the dog walked underneath it. Okay. Take two. Penny, come on. Try this again. So my safety eyes work. Okay, and that's all the way down according to the machine. So some adjustments are necessary. As you can see, the door does not shut completely, so I need to adjust the down travel screw. Each turn, according to my manual, represents about 2 inches of door movement. So it's about 15 inches too high, so I'll adjust this screw about 7 turns counterclockwise. As far as the up adjustment, I noticed that the door opens up a little bit too far. So I will turn this one counterclockwise as well, because as you can see the arrow indicating that if you turn it clockwise it will travel upwards more. So we'll go back here and adjust this one down 7 turns, 4, 5, 6, 7, and we'll give it a try. That's not good. I've finished my fine tuning of the adjustment screws, both up and down, and I think I've got it now. Perfect. So I think everything is working as it should. I will probably oil some of these wheels and maybe even replace some of them as necessary. It seems kind of creaky and herky-jerky, but that's the problem of this 30-year-old garage door, not of the garage door installation. Thanks for watching.